Hey, so we just got done talking to Tyler Ariano, who's the coach for the action shooting team. And some of the things that I noticed about him is that he's extremely humble, he's extremely passionate, he's very positive and upbeat, and he breathed a lot of new life back into the program with the direction he's kind of taken the action shooting team.
Yeah, what stood out to me is throughout the entire episode, Tyler barely talked about himself. He spent most of the time answering the questions, talking about his summer shooters, how proud he is about their progress, how excited he is to eventually possibly get some of them as permanent personnel. I think that speaks a lot to his character, and that's honestly his focus. He's not in it for personal glory. He's a team player. He's a coach.
Yeah, and that's kind of the type of person you want to have in those positions. Somebody who's just going to be that selfless individual, who's going to take time away from their training to help everybody else. So it speaks a lot to his character, and I'm extremely happy to have uh, been with him during part of his journey on the team. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and let us know what you think.
Yep. Give me a nod when you're ready. Shooter's ready. Stand by.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3GIQ podcast. I'm joined here with my co-host Frank Gow and our special guest Tyler Ariano. Now, Tyler Ariano, he's the coach of the Marine Corps action shooting team. Came to us about 2 years ago as a summer shooter, and then last year he was with us full time. Has made some great progress and really helped develop and shape the team into what it is today with his personality, his wit, and his eagerness to not only learn and be humble, but his ability to want to just continue to help and be a part of a solution. So, Tyler, if you could, can you kind of give us some of your background, where you're from, previous units, your path to the Marine Corps shooting team, and your history of competitive shooting?
Yeah. So, Matt, thanks for having me. I kind of came to the team just a few years ago. So I'm an infantryman by trade. I've been in 10 years now. Started off with security forces at a fast company down in Norfolk. Then I went to 1st Battalion, 1st Marines out of Camp Pendleton. I then went to 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines out in 29 Palms, missed 29 Palms.
I've only been there once.
I love 29. I mean, the 95 isn't there and there's hardly any people. A lot of great camping out there too. We'd always go up to Lake Mojave in Nevada. But my journey to the team, so I had never even heard of the Marine Corps shooting team up until 2019. I was supposed to be an instructor for like a Lance Corporal seminar or a corporal's course. But that course ended up being canceled, and my company gunny was like, there's a shooting competition over at the MTU. Would you like to go? And I was like, yeah, free ammo. I mean, I like to shoot. Born and raised in Montana. So I grew up with guns, but I never like competed or anything on my own. So I did the MIC at 29 Palms, ended up getting a bronze rifle medal my first time competing, and it just kind of got the hook in me. I was like, wow, this is out there. This is definitely something I want to pursue. And I came back to a couple more MICs, and then I was fortunate enough during COVID to come out and be invited as a summer shooter. And I did my summer season on the 3-gun team, and I knew that was it for me. That's the team I wanted to shoot for, and happy to be here.
So I just have to ask this because you are from Montana, and I just started watching the series Yellowstone. How realistic is that show?
I mean, it obviously has its Hollywood touch that you have to add, but if you want to talk about a bunch of Californians coming to Bozeman, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I remember a story whenever you and Glomba went out there to, what was it, a state level match or something like that, and you
Yep.
lost your phone or something like that, and you had to
I
get the
did.
cops involved because a bunch of crackheads or meth heads like stole it. It was like a really complex story, and like Glomba, John hooked up with some female.
Yeah, long story short, I got my phone stolen at a bar in downtown Billings, and I tracked it to a trailer out in this little town called Lockwood, and like stereotypical like meth trailer park. Me and Glombo, we rolled out there, scouted it out, and then being from Montana, you know pretty much everyone. So my sister has a friend that was a deputy sheriff. So he came out and sure enough got my phone back for me. And then that was pretty much the end of that.
So I remember, like, whenever we went out to the Wyoming governor's match a couple years ago, me and Captain Scott, we were driving back to the airport after the match and everything. And out of nowhere, we get pulled over. We weren't speeding, nothing like that. Like, we're in a blacked out SUV, and we're like, man, I bet this guy thinks we're running drugs or something like that. And so he pulls us over. We roll down the window, pull out our IDs and everything. And he's like, you guys are kind of far out of town. And we're like, oh yeah, we're with the Marine Corps shooting team, this and that, we flew out here to Wyoming for a match and everything. Hey, you want to watch some shooting videos of what we do? And he's like, oh yeah, I'd love to. So we showed him a video, and like, he was like, that's really cool. Handed the phone back, and he's like, you guys have a nice day. Went on our way.
Yep, just a little highway interdiction.
Mm-hmm.
I got a follow-up question about your time in Twin Palms. Did you do any civilian competitions while you were out there?
No, so none. I when I shot my first Mic, it was very shortly after, I think less than a year after. I had then went out, shot my summer season. So my competitive experience before I even came as a summer shooter was strictly limited to the Mics. But I mean, I was a single Marine out in 29 Palms, California. I didn't even have my own guns there anyway.
Yeah, reason I bring it up, for any of you listening from the West Coast, if you're stationed in Pendleton, Miramar, 29 Palms, there's a club called Linea del Fuego, and they shoot over at the Pallet shooting range. It's out in Temecula. That's where I got my start in 3-gun. Talking to Chris Scott, that's actually where he got his start. And we're swapping a story because it's an interesting range. It's got all these steel targets up on a hill, right? And sometimes you get shut down because it's on a Native American reservation. And if they're having like a funeral procession, like you just sometimes have these random hour, 2-hour ceasefires. But there's a guy that will sometimes drive across the top of that ridge where the targets are. Doesn't tell anybody he's going. He just decides to send it. And then everyone sees this white truck. They're like, oh, it's the miner. He's like, who is this guy? And you just stop shooting and you just watch him cross. And I asked one of the guys, like, does he tell anybody before he comes back? They're like, no, we just got to watch out for him. So very strange place, but a really, really quality match. And I don't hold it against you. Like, it's like 2 or 3 hours away from you. Like you said, really difficult to get into that kind of scene in California. Let's talk about the summer season. So how has it gone so far? Let's start with coming out of championships, how you picked the shooters that you did, which major matches that you've hit so far, and what your training schedule's been like.
So coming out of championships, when selecting the summer shooters that we ended up picking, I was actually lucky enough. I had came out and did an MTT for 2.2 and 2.8. And it was at that MTT where I first met Corporal Galloway. at the time. So I was able to actually work with him before he even shot his first MCMC with us. So establishing that early was both a factor in, I think the MTT helped him perform to a higher level at the MCMC, as well as me being able to scout him a little bit longer than some of the other people. But we also brought out Sergeant Muller from same area. We looked at his stats, not just from the official match, but we looked at the practice stages as well, and kind of did like number crunching from each stage to really identify, because just because, you know, you might not have placed super high, that doesn't mean that you don't have strengths that really tailor to us. So that's kind of how we picked. But the season's gone really well. The big strengths that I've seen from these summer shooters, and what makes my job as a coach so much easier, is their willingness to do whatever myself and, you know, Go King have for them. They're just eager to learn, super stoked to be here. But their mental toughness and their ability to like shoot their own match. They're not trying to like push to a level that they're not at, and they recognize that. And I think that is what has helped them get from where they started to where they are now.
And which matches have you guys shot so far in the summer season?
So the most recent one we just shot Wisconsin 3-gun, where Sergeant Muller and Corporal Galloway both took third. Muller took third in the modified division. Galloway took third in limited. At JP Vortex, Alex Go King took third in modified, and then also was the high military for that match. Those are kind of the notable finishes for our most recent matches.
So talking about that, how would you say you've balanced the amount of training dedicated to each weapon system in the sport? Obviously, you're dealing with 3 guns. Like, what complements each other? How do how have you handled the training of the summer shooters and your training as well?
So obviously, initially, kind of establishing a baseline for them, just out on the range, figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are to kind of identify their low hanging fruit. And then once you get them into their first match, when you're able to really analyze the video and you can start to kind of pick apart, that is definitely kind of what drives the training. But these guys themselves are the ones driving that training, because with that self-discovery, they know exactly what they need. There isn't like a one size fits all. But for these guys to have that maturity and the ability to kind of start to recognize those things this early is extremely impressive. But I guess that's kind of how we would end up balancing what our focus is going to be on.
So you kind of mentioned something that interests me, and I know the pistol team does this a lot, but have you guys really started implementing like video analysis into like post-match reviews of what you do?
So it's something that we could be doing better. We don't do it to the level of the pistol team, but we are getting into like the, for a lack of a better term, I guess the science of like video analysis. We've been, especially with our mobile training teams that we do, look like taking the numbers that we're able to get from a lot of the TCSs that we run people through, correlating that to like matching it to a video, if you will. So if you can get a video of somebody performing TCSs at the beginning and then comparing the video with the TCSs at the end, and being able to identify on video and being able to show somebody exactly like these are the adjustments that you've made. You can see it to help make a better mental imprint of kind of the right thing to do and why they're gaining their success and their development.
So from a numbers perspective, how much would you say you shoot per weapon system, and how has that translated into performance?
Per weapon system, I would say as a team, we probably shoot maybe 4,500 pistol a week, maybe 2,500 rifle. And then we were a little bit heavy this year with shotgun, but I think that's a testament to some of our increase in finishes, shooting that shotgun a little bit more. We didn't really do a whole lot of it last year. And I mean, part of that is, running into issues with some of our guns. But I would say maybe 3,000 shotgun a week.
Okay.
I was about to make a joke about rookie numbers, but those clearly aren't rookie numbers. Follow-up question to Matt's question, actually, about video review. Do any of you guys use like first-person hat-mounted cameras at all?
No one on our team does.
Okay. It's something I started doing a few matches ago. And aside from it looking cool, right, for the gram, shooting is a very visual discipline. And with that many things going on at the same time, it helps sometimes to parse out whether or not your eyes are going to the right place, like going to your mag well, looking to the spot you're supposed to move to. I found it very helpful for diagnosis. So just something else to mention there.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've wanted to get into. I'll admit I am not very technologically literate, especially when it comes to like videos and camera work and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I need to learn a lot more about. But I'll say I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, well, I'm should be out there at SAT tomorrow. So if you guys are training, you can come by and look at my setup. It's pretty easy. You just have to remember to hit it before you like at the end of your make ready sequence.
I'm actually doing a pretty cool shoot with MSAL this week, so I won't be at battalion this week. But
okay, yeah, whenever we run into each other next, I found it to be massively helpful. It's a little awkward because it hangs off the front of the bill of my cap. Looks kind of weird. I actually have it hanging down in front of my face. So the joke is that you can record all the people avoiding eye contact with you as you walk around the range. But no, it's really helpful. So teaching summer shooters, right? You're taking somebody. I mean, you're looking at potential. But what were some of the difficult concepts for them to grasp in the beginning? And then now that they're like placing in actual matches, what are some of the plateaus or obstacles that you're dealing with now?
So at the beginning, like I talked about, like shooting your own match, especially like coming somewhere where you haven't done, like you haven't been a competitive shooter before, and then you come train with us and you see like guys that have far more experience shooting, and like the initial face value, you're like, I should be shooting like that if I want to be competitive. But getting it into them early that you need to shoot your own match. Like, don't be so focused on the outcome, focused on the in-between and that development, and you will get there. These guys had a lot of patience. They were extremely receptive. This isn't a bad talk, any summer shooter we've ever had before. This just was a different group of summer shooters. And it was an absolute pleasure working with these guys. Having them both pull out third place finishes at a major match when we weren't even supposed to be finished with our season with the summer shooters at this point. They were still supposed to have a couple more, things not in our control. But I'm excited to hopefully have these guys back in a permanent status. And I can only imagine where they can go from here. But I think Muller and Galloway are definitely two names that you guys will be seeing more of in the future.
So do you have any particular weapon systems that you're most confident with? And what would you say needs more work?
So surprisingly for me, I'm sure, Matt, you might remember.
You sucked at pistol in the back
horrible. Kyle Hudson and Jared Adams, I remember, spent about probably an hour and a half in like 150 rounds of TZZ, super hot 45, trying to teach me how to shoot pistol at championships. Just me and them, because I was so atrocious with it. But for me this year, my pistol has it's been working for me. My short range rifle could be better. I need to be more confident in like calling my shots and moving quickly for my short bay rifle. I would say that for me personally is what needs work.
You say more on like offhand rifle shots, like 100 yards in?
I would say for me, it's the ones that are in between like 25 and 40.
Okay.
But long range has worked out really well this year. I couldn't be happier with how I've done with my long range rifle, and then shotgun modified division is just cheating. But no, it's been good.
Well, for your long range work, what's kind of been your path to success there? Because I remember it, previous seasons, like it was just you guys would go out and shoot some of the targets that are already up in place. Did you do anything different this year?
Yeah. So the QPS, the Quantified Performance Series at Quantico has definitely helped me with my long range rifle. And I think with the other guys as well that have shot that, dabbling into like the PRS QPS has definitely accelerated my abilities for long range rifle in 3-gun.
All right, so quad loads. How many shotgun shells do you think have been dropped matches in practice over the course of the summer season?
Oh, in practice, hundreds. At matches, surprisingly, I wouldn't say that many. As a team, up until this point, I would say maybe like 10, 15 in between there.
Shit, I remember last year with Lieutenant Ambridge, on average in a match, you would probably drop about 30 rounds. I remember last year at Wisconsin, whenever we were doing the jungle run, you just had to follow the path of unfired rounds that he dropped.
Oh, the jungle run at Wisconsin this year, that was nightmare fuel for me. I fired my first shot, realized I didn't have ear pro in, and I was just like, I'm just going to finish it, and kind of forgot everything I was supposed to do after firing the first shot. I was just like, ow, that's loud.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. Who would you say out of the summer shooters and the actual members of the team has the slickest quad load right now?
Alex?
No, Corporal Galloway, John Galloway, Corporal Galloway, he has buttery quad loads. It was funny at the beginning, they both started doing strong hand quad loads. They soon then started playing around with weak side quad loads. And after they did that, it just clicked for both of them. But Galloway's quad loads are buttery.
So, we don't get to go to all the matches that we want to. Mm-hmm. We're kind of limited to what our budget and schedule will allow with everything that we do have going on. What are some matches that you would like to get out to that you haven't been able to go to this year and previous years, but that are on your radar and you want to get out and shoot?
Oh, the one that jumps off the page, like right off the bat, number one is Duskin 3-gun.
Well, I mean, it's done. I'll make sure for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, Duskin is definitely one. If USSL gets Wyoming Governor's match next year, we'd really like to do that one as well.
I would say the only thing to look out for is participation. Like, got to look at the numbers. Like, as cool of a venue as it is, it will be, the quality will depend on how many people are there as well.
Yeah, because how much did Surefire Worlds have? Like 60s?
20, maybe. Yeah.
That's
Low numbers. Yeah, it's disappointing. Are you guys going to be going to Gen 3 Gun this year?
We are.
Okay.
We are. That's actually the next one we're going to be going to. Unfortunately, JKM, we lost that one. So Gen 3 will be our next big major match that we're looking at.
Where's Gen 3 at?
It'll be at Clinton House.
Oh, South Carolina.
No, Gen 3's not at Clinton House.
Oh, no, that's Missouri.
Yeah. Yep.
That was my mistake.
Mm-hmm. I'll let Chad know that you said that. What's his nickname for you? Smalls?
I'm skinny. Glomba's mustache.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's gonna fuck you up.
I'll argue to him about some baseball or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tyler, we appreciate you coming on and sharing with us how the summer season's gone. Anything else that you'd like to leave with the listeners or the Marine Corps at all? Be about shooting, be about getting competition, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, so just know when it comes to shooting, there is no one size fits all. So I mean, even like get out, experience like different instructors, different training programs or classes if you can go. But just because it doesn't click at the beginning, don't be discouraged. Just know that it's up to you to figure out what works for you. What works for me doesn't work for Matt or yourself. But having that self-discovery and like learning on your own is going to be really important. So just keep at it and don't get discouraged. Try new things, meet new people. I've learned a lot of stuff from you, Matt, a bunch of guys back at the team, people out on this competitive circuit, different law enforcement agencies. But if I can take like one thing from each individual that I can meet, that's going to help make me better in the long run. So that's, I guess, my parting shot, I suppose.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate you giving all the information that you've given off. And I wish you and the rest of the guys success with the rest of the year, as well as, the future seasons of the team. I'm really excited to see where you guys go. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. My last save round is I just want to thank Sean Muller and John Galloway for their awesome performance as a summer shooter on the action team this year. I'd also like to wish fair winds and following seas to Tony Alvarez. He just shot his last match with the 3-gun team. He's going to be moving on to recruiting duty, and I know he's going to be just as successful as a recruiter as he has been a shooter on the team. But everybody on action shooting team, kick-ass job so far this year, and we're going to finish on a strong note before we roll into MCMC season.
Awesome. Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening to this. Let us know what you think. And if there's anybody specific you want us to interview or talk to, or any specific questions you have for the action shooting team, please let us know, and we'll get with Tyler and Alex Goking and ask some of your questions so they can get something back to you. Have a great one. Bye.